some things to keep in mind with this. So this is just generic. It doesn't matter if we're doing the left rectangles, the right rectangles, trapezoids, midpoints. Some things that we need to know about this. First of all, we're going to use the letter N to represent the number of rectangles. Okay, so anytime we use N for something like this, it's going to be the number of rectangles. If we want to know the width of the interval, how would we find that? So the width of the interval would be the distance from A to B. How would we find that? B minus A. So we're going to call the width of each subinterval delta x. Or in this case, we're assuming that the horizontal axis is the x-axis. If it was the t-axis, the time axis, then we would call that delta t. All right, so how would we determine what delta x is, assuming that we are doing equal subintervals? So each one of these is the same width. Nope. So b minus a is the width of the interval, and then divided by n. Does that make sense? So b minus a is the width of the interval. So in this case, we have 4 rectangles, or 4 equal subintervals. So we would divide the width of the entire interval by 4 to find the width of each one. These are going to be things that you'll need to know. Delta x is going to be really important when we're doing this here. Delta x is going to be the width of each rectangle. So to find the area of each of these rectangles, we're going to take delta x times the height, the value of the function at the right endpoint. And then we'll take delta x times the value of the function at this endpoint. And then we'll take delta x times the value of this one. And then we'll take delta x times the value of this one. Okay, that might seem a little repetitive, but we're taking delta x times each one of them and we're going to add them together. So what did we get as a shortcut? What do you think we could do? Yeah. So what we can do is factor out that delta x, take the width of that the subinterval, and multiply it by the heights of all the rectangles added together. Okay, that's kind of the same thing as just taking all these rectangles and stacking them up on top of each other, figure out what the height of that big stack is going to be, and then multiply it by the width.